It all began with a map, crinkly, old, and full of promise. There was something magical about the way it felt in my hands, as if it held secrets waiting to be discovered. The faded lines and handwritten notes whispered stories of distant lands and adventures yet to come. I found it in a dusty bookshop, tucked between forgotten novels. The air was thick with the scent of old paper and leather, and the shopkeeper barely glanced up as I pulled the map free. It felt like fate, as if the map had been waiting for me all along. The map showed the Caucasus Mountains, a place I barely knew. The names and contours were unfamiliar, yet they sparked a sense of wonder. I traced the winding routes with my finger, imagining the wild terrain and the stories hidden within those peaks. Names like Elbrus, Dombe, and Szeged danced before my eyes. Each one sounded like a promise, a challenge, a mystery. I wondered what it would feel like to stand at the foot of those mountains, to breathe in the cold, crisp air. Tracing the rivers and peaks, I felt a quiet curiosity grow into a powerful pull. The more I studied the map, the more I felt drawn to the unknown, to the wild beauty that lay beyond the edges of my everyday life. My friends thought I was mad. Russia? The mountains? They laughed and shook their heads, warning me about the cold, the distance, the language. But their doubts only made my resolve stronger. But I saw green valleys, rushing streams, and peaks touching the clouds. I pictured myself wandering through meadows, crossing icy rivers, and standing on high ridges with the world spread out below me. The idea of this journey became a warm light inside me. It was a quiet flame that grew brighter each day, filling me with hope and excitement. I started to dream about the adventure, letting it color my thoughts and plans. It wasn't just about seeing mountains, it was about answering a call to step beyond the familiar, to test my limits, and to discover who I might become far from home. I started to plan, reading books, studying photos, learning a few Russian words. I filled notebooks with ideas and lists, piecing together a journey from scraps of information and wild imagination. Each step made the trip feel more real. Marking dates on my calendar, gathering gear, and researching routes, I could almost feel the mountain air on my face. I bought boots, a warm coat, and practiced simple phrases. I rehearsed greetings and questions, hoping they'd help me find my way in a land where every word would be new. The day I left, nerves and joy mixed as I watched my town shrink below the plain. My heart pounded with excitement and fear, knowing that everything familiar was falling away behind me. I was stepping into the unknown, not just across land, but into a new chapter. Every step forward was a step away from comfort and a step toward possibility. I didn't know what I'd find or who I'd meet. The faces in the crowd were strangers, the signs unreadable, but the sense of adventure was overwhelming. But I knew this journey mattered. It was more than a trip. It was a leap of faith, a chance to grow, to learn, and to be changed by the world. The call of the unknown was loud and clear. It echoed in my mind, urging me onward, promising that the greatest stories begin with a single, uncertain step. I was finally on my way. The world outside the window changed with every mile, and with it, so did I. The world I knew faded behind me. The familiar streets and faces became memories, replaced by the thrill of what lay ahead. I felt both small and brave. The mountains on the horizon seemed impossibly far, but I was determined to reach them. The adventure had already begun. Every step, every breath, every moment was part of a story I was writing for myself. I was ready to discover what waited in those distant mountains. The unknown no longer felt frightening. It felt like an invitation. My heart beat with anticipation. Every sense was alive, every thought filled with hope and wonder. I was leaving comfort for wonder. The safety of home was behind me, and ahead was a world of possibility. The map was now my guide. The unknown was calling, and I was answering, ready to let the journey shape me in ways I could not yet imagine. The journey was long. First a flight that seemed to stretch on forever, the world below shrinking into a patchwork of clouds and distant peaks. I watched the landscape change from the comfort of my window seat, anticipation building with every passing mile. Then came a rattling bus, its engine groaning as we wound our way onto ever narrower roads, the pavement giving way to gravel and dust. The bus bounced and swayed, each turn a reminder that we were leaving the familiar behind. For hours the land outside was flat and unremarkable, fields stretching endlessly, dotted with the occasional farmhouse or grazing animal. The monotony was almost hypnotic, broken only by the occasional jolt as the bus hit a pothole. But then, as if conjured from thin air, a jagged line appeared on the horizon, mountains, faint and blue, rising above the haze. With every mile, those distant shapes grew clearer and more imposing, transforming from mere shadows into towering giants that seemed to touch the sky. Even in the warmth of summer, snow sparkled on their peaks, catching the sunlight and scattering it like diamonds across the ridges. The slopes below were a dramatic mix of dark, ancient rock and deep green forests, pine trees clinging to the mountainsides as if defying gravity. Each twist and turn of the bus revealed a new vista, each more breathtaking than the last, valleys plunging into shadow, cliffs rising abruptly from the earth. I pressed my face to the window, unable to tear my eyes away, feeling both awed and humbled by the sheer scale of it all. When I finally stepped off the bus, the air hit me, crisp, cool and scented with pine and earth, so different from the city air I'd left behind. I took a deep breath, filling my lungs with pure, invigorating life, feeling instantly refreshed and awake. The silence here was profound, almost sacred, broken only by the whisper of wind through the trees and the distant calls of mountain birds. I wandered through the small mountain village, unable to look away from the scenery. Rivers roared nearby, their waters cold and clear, while forests stretched endlessly in every direction, promising adventure and mystery. Here, nature was in charge, untamed, powerful, and breathtakingly beautiful. The mountains dominated everything, their presence impossible to ignore. At sunrise, the mountains seemed almost mystical, shrouded in mist and glowing with the first light of day, as if alive with secrets and stories of their own. Despite being far from home, I felt a strange sense of belonging here, as if the giants themselves were welcoming me into their world. I was just a tiny speck in their vast domain, dwarfed by their immensity, yet somehow comforted by their silent watchfulness. With every step, I felt a growing excitement. I was ready to explore, to lose myself in the wild heart of the mountains, and to discover what secrets these giants might share. Each day, I set out early with a simple pack: water, bread, cheese. Some trails wound gently through wildflower meadows, alive with bees and butterflies. Others climbed steeply through forests where sunlight danced on the ground. Sometimes, I walked for hours without seeing another soul. In that solitude, my mind quieted. I noticed the texture of moss, the call of a woodpecker, the shifting light. The mountains whispered ancient stories on the wind. I felt connected to the earth in a way I'd forgotten. Time slowed. Afternoons drifted by, watching clouds over the peaks. On a high ridge, I looked down at a glacier shining blue-white in the sun. Happiness washed over me, simple, pure, and unearned. It wasn't about achievement or possession. It was about being present, truly alive in the moment. The mountains taught me to listen, to slow down, to just be. And in that stillness, I found joy. My base was a small village, seemingly untouched by time. Wooden houses, gardens bursting with sunflowers, chickens in the road. The people were warm, their curiosity gentle. Nina, my host, treated me like family, her food simple, hearty, and full of love. We spoke in smiles and laughter more than words. Life here was about community, hard work, and simple pleasures. I realized how little I needed to feel truly rich. By the river, I met Sergey, an old man with a sky-blue gaze. Through a young translator, he shared his wisdom. "The mountains are my teachers," he said. "They teach patience, strength, and humility." He spoke of herding sheep, sleeping under stars, and relying on neighbors through harsh winters. In the city, you have many neighbors, but no none. Here, few neighbors are family. Community is more valuable than a full wallet. Sergey finished carving a small wooden bird and gave it to me. I tried to pay, but he refused, hand over heart. That bird became my treasure, a symbol of kindness and wisdom. Sergey's lessons stayed with me: patience, strength, community, and finding enough in what's right before you. Meeting him changed my journey. I saw the world through his eyes, simple, connected, and full of meaning. The mountains weren't just scenery, they were teachers. I carried Sergey's words with me. They shaped the rest of my adventure. Not every day was easy. Some days the weight of the journey pressed down on me, and the path ahead seemed endless. My legs ached, my breath came in short bursts, and I wondered if I had the strength to keep going. I set out to hike a high mountain pass, sunny at first, then clouds rolled in. The air was crisp, and the promise of adventure filled me with hope, but I could sense the weather changing, the sky darkening with every step. Wind howled, fog thickened, and fear crept in. The world shrank to a few feet in front of me, and every sound seemed amplified by the swirling mist. The path vanished into mist. I felt lost and small. The vastness of the mountains made me realize how fragile I was. Just a tiny figure swallowed by the clouds. Doubt whispered, "What if I get lost? What if I fall?" My mind raced with worries, each one louder than the last, echoing in the silence of the fog. I remembered Sergei's words, "The mountains stand against the wind and snow. They endure, and so could I." His advice echoed in my mind, a steady anchor in the storm. I focused on each step, breathing deep, moving forward. I let go of the summit and concentrated on the ground beneath my feet, one careful step at a time. Panic faded, replaced by determination. I felt a quiet strength growing inside me, a resolve to keep going no matter what the mountain threw my way. I wasn't fighting the mountain, I was moving with it. Finally, the fog broke. The world opened up again and I could see the trail winding ahead, bathed in new light. I stood at the top, sunlight flooding a new valley. The view was breathtaking, a reward for every moment of doubt and struggle. Relief and pride washed over me. I felt the tension in my shoulders melt away, replaced by a deep sense of accomplishment. I had faced fear and found strength I didn't know I had. The mountain had shown me what I was capable of, and I felt a new confidence growing inside. The mountain had tested me, and I had passed. I realized that the real challenge wasn't the climb, but overcoming my own doubts. I felt changed, more capable, more alive. The struggle had transformed me, leaving me with a sense of joy and gratitude I hadn't expected. The challenge became a memory of triumph. I knew I would carry this moment with me, a reminder of what I could achieve. The view was my reward. Every hardship, every doubt had led me here, to this place of beauty and peace. I stood between earth and sky, grateful. The vastness of the world stretched out before me, and I felt connected to something greater than myself. The mountains had given me a gift, belief in myself. I knew as I looked out over the endless peaks that I would never be the same. At night, the mountains revealed another wonder, a sky ablaze with stars. I lay on a blanket, breathless at the sight. The Milky Way stretched overhead, constellations bright and clear. Under that vast dome, my worries shrank to nothing. I felt connected to the universe, humbled and comforted. A shooting star flashed by. I wish to remember this feeling always. Those nights changed me, teaching me to look up and marvel. Too soon, it was time to leave. Saying goodbye to Nina and her family was hard, her gift of jam a sweet reminder. The bus ride down felt different. I was filled with peace and gratitude. The mountains faded, but their lessons stayed. I carried home a carved bird, the taste of homemade jam, and a heart full of memories. The journey had started with a map, but became a journey into myself. The mountains had shown me strength and peace I never knew. I returned changed, ready to see the world and myself differently. Their lessons would last forever. Home felt strange at first, city noise, fast pace, but the mountain's peace stayed with me. When life felt overwhelming, I closed my eyes and remembered the high pass, the clean air, the wind. I found joy in small things, a walk, a meal, a neighbor's smile. Sergei's wisdom about community guided me. The starry sky kept my problems in perspective. True wealth, I learned, is in experience, connection, and nature. My life looked the same, but inside, I was transformed. I felt grounded, grateful, and alive. The journey gave me confidence and peace. I encourage you, find your own mountains, wherever they may be. Step out, explore, connect, and let the world change you. Adventure is waiting. Go and answer its call.